Hello, my friends. This is Colleen from Colleen's Craft Closet, and today I am participating in a hop with Ginger's Corners called Little Scraps, Big Impact. And so it's where we go through our scrap bags or scrap bins. I have bins, and I'm trying to use them up. And we take those scraps and we make embellishments. And so today's embellishment is kite. So here you can see I made a title, K is for kite, and I have a kite, and I'm going to show you how I put the kite together. This is from the original Cricut. So how many of you recognize these little cartridges? This is Nate's ABCs, and I have the first Cricut, which is a 6-inch. That's all it does is a 6-inch platform. And so that's the cartridge I used, and I cut out all these pieces. And so this shows you how it's put together. I did not do the cloud parts. And so this shows you the various pieces that you need to cut out to make the embellishments. And I am going to show you how I assembled the kite, because I did this video once and I did not actually turn the video on what I thought I had. So I am going to show you how I put together the kite. I still have one left. Good thing I cut out more than one. So the title was pretty easy, so that's why I'm not going to show you piecing that together. Let me get that back into position. And so basically, kites. My family, my sister's family, my sister Brenda, every Easter would make kites. Or make kites. Oh, goodness. Live video, Colleen. Get your thoughts together. Her and her family would go fly kites in the field across the street. Didn't matter if there was snow. It didn't matter if it was cold and blustery. They were always flying the kites. And so I am making embellishments so I can go ahead and scrap that. I use Nuvo glue, liquid glue. Any liquid glue would really work. And I usually try to work as quickly as I can. I don't stick it down completely because I want to get the placement just right. With this one I found, that's why I always make one ahead of time, that if you put the bottom pieces in first, and then the top, and then go ahead and adhere the little black strip that goes in the center, which, well, there it is. It was, now you see the little black strip that goes in the center. You just have to laugh sometimes because live videos never go the way you want them to go. And I just am going to move along with it because you basically know how to glue. All these pieces are put together. All of these pieces are put together. That is very true, Colleen. All of these pieces are inked with walnut stain ink. It's relatively new to me. I usually use vintage photo, but my vintage photo that I've had for a very, very long time is dry and I need to get a re-inker. And so that is something that I'm planning on doing. You know, most of you may know that I am not trying to purchase any crafty supplies because I have a room or a closet full, and I am trying to use what I had. And see how you have to really just lift this up and see if I can lift it still. I can. That's the good thing. Always use my little tweezers here. I need to shift this down a little bit, and I'm going to very gently pick it up. It's still attached a little bit, and I'm gonna shift it down as much as I can and go ahead and smooth the glue down, and then I'm going to put this centerpiece in. Let me make sure I glue it properly. No, it has to go. See, it's very small and finicky. And so I am going to go ahead and place the glue. I love my glue press. 1, it helps with my arthritis. 2, it helps when I'm doing really small, finicky things like this to get that placed. And I'm going to go ahead and put this down, this little crossbar, and see how that just really makes the kite pop. I most likely, when I scrapbook this, will use a black mat around my photos or around the whole entire layout. And this little tail, you kind of have to curl it in place. And that's what I am going to do. And while I'm doing that, I'll say down below is a link for Ginger's Corners and for the playlist for this hop. There are lots of lovely ladies that are participating in this hop and making kite embellishments. That's what we're making this time. And they probably are faster at gluing on live video and filming and keeping their things in place. But I am just trying. I just so remember the Easters in here because those other pieces are real small, and I probably should have done that with the kite tail. You know, it's always so much easier to glue when you're not on live video. When the pieces are that small, I generally tend to take, I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the way, I generally put the glue on the bigger piece and then just attach the small piece. And so that's kind of a little hint. These little tweezers also are very, very helpful for these finicky pieces. And that's kind of where we're at. So I think of Easter, I think of kites, I think of being at my sister's house for Easter and them flying kites over in the field and all the kids just loving to fly kites. It's not something that my family did, but my sister's husband, Jeff, that was something he was used to doing for Easter, and so it became a tradition for his family. So there you have my kite embellishment. And I'm going to show you some other ones that I made. This one's a little darker colors, a little more muted, maybe for one of the nephew's layouts. And so in this one, you can see that I cut out 3 different shapes. They're all the same shape, Colleen. And in fact, if we talk about the shape, I asked my sister Tracy, who used to teach 3rd grade, what shape is a kite? She says it's a quadrangle triangle, or quadrangle, she said, because it's 4 triangles and 4 corners. So it's a quad, which means 4, quadrangle. There you go. There's our math lesson for the day. And hey, I used to teach biology, you know, anatomy, physiology. You want me to name all the bones, all the muscles, I can do that. But yes, I did not remember this was a quadrangle. So thank you, Tracy, sis, for that. So I cut 3 different sizes. This was a 3-inch cut on my Cricut. This was a 2.5, and this was a 2. These smaller ones were very finicky, so I mainly went with the 3-inch size, but sometimes we like the different sizes for our layouts, and so that was a second one I went. But I want to show you, yes, I had, and I'm going to pick this up and just show you one at a time. I had a doozy of a time making a kite. And so first I started out with just a piece of paper, and you may not be able to see that very well. Let's kind of impose it over this. And I drew lines, and then I made it into a kite shape and cut it out, and that was my template. And so once I had that template, I simply took and glued paper, and I just glued a piece of paper here and cut it, and glued a piece of paper here and cut it, and then put those thin strips, and later on I'll put a tail. But let me tell you, it took a lot of time to come up with this template. And so I did not want to show you me with a ruler and fiddling and the math. And I said, my goodness, there has to be some easier way. And I did do several sizes just to show you. Here is a medium-sized one that I made out of washi tape, and it still needs a tail, but it's really pretty. The washi I have to glue down a little bit better because the washi tape was getting old and it just didn't quite stick. And here is my largest size kite, and you can see that I have to glue that washi tape back down. So that was some that I made, and you can see there are big differences in size. And I made one big paper one, and I made it by drawing it with my ruler, and I can see this going on a 12 by 12 layout. I used my cotton perler thread that I used to use for candle wicking, and I had some left over, and I made the tail and put the little pieces of the tail. I don't know if that has a technical name, but I put these little pieces. We used to tie little rag pieces, little strips of fabric on our kite tails, and I could see just kind of gluing that very nicely onto a 12 by 12 layout. So those are the different examples of kites I made. And so as you can see, I mean, I went from this and this and the little one here, you know, and this is my little template, and this. And then I thought, oh my goodness, these are just too difficult to make. I need something easier. And so I went to my Cricut and looked to see if I had any cartridges that cut out a kite. And thankfully, my Nate's ABCs had it. And I was so happy, but my Cricut, I have not used it in a long time. So this is also good for my goals for this year, to use things in my craft closet, my craft room, that I haven't used in a long time, the things that are dusty, the tools that are forgotten, and my Cricut has been one of them for a while. It was dusty. I had to dust it all off. I had to remind myself how to cut the different layers. And I came up with these different kite embellishments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Here's the other version that I made. And I hope that you will click on the link down below for the playlist to see all the others that are participating in this hop. Little scraps, big impact with Ginger's Corners. Thank you so much, my friends, for tuning in. And I hope you have a crafty day. Bye.